Welcome everyone. My name is Cody Sell, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at how to properly identify horizontal support and resistance in the financial markets. This is going to be a great introductory video for all of you who are looking to use support and resistance in your trading. So, of course, like always, we're going to come out of the charts for a minute and look at conceptually what we want to see in the live markets before we actually tackle the chart. All right, so let's say we've got our support and resistance level right here. And what we're going to do first is talk about what you would expect to see at a support and resistance level. So here's our price feed down here. And we are approaching our support and resistance level. And since we are currently under the level, it is called what? Resistance. So we have approached our resistance level. What would we expect to happen? Well, we would expect the price will hold and be rejected back down, perhaps to a support level. So we will mark another level down here, and we will call this one our support. All right. So the first thing we've noted is that, let's just talk about this here. Price has rejected from this support and resistance level. So that's the first sign that we've got a support and resistance level. Price was rising, and then we saw a peak in the market. Price fell very hard from this point. So now we're going to be watching price when it gets back up to this level. So price finds support, comes back up to our resistance. We would expect to see it fall again, right back down to our support. So we can now confirm that price is indeed being rejected from this level. Now, when it comes to support and resistance, we like to see a little bit of confluence here. So in this specific example, we now have two instances telling us that there is some kind of resistance here in the market. You need at least two instances to inform you that there is indeed potentially a significant resistance in the market that you can use to trade and make money on. Right now, in this example, for our support level, we have 1, 2, 3, and now we are waiting to see what happens here in instance number 4. But note this, guys, also on the support level in this example, it was previously resistance. So we have a second indicator here that this is a significant support and resistance level in the market. So resistance has turned into support. All right, that is another key identifier for support and resistance. Now let's say that at this point, price does indeed find support here. We come back up to our resistance, fall just a little bit, but then break through the level. Now, if we're trying to identify key characteristics about support and resistance, what would we expect at this point? We would expect that price will return to the previous support and resistance level and now find that that resistance has now turned into support, and we will rise again. So here we are. Other key telltale signs that this is indeed an important support and resistance level in the market. Now, when we discussed conceptually how support and resistance worked, we used an analogy of a bouncy ball in a hallway. And we talked about how the ceiling and the floor were much stronger than the ball, therefore the ball bounced back and forth. So the idea is that these support and resistance levels are very strong. So in order to break through a ceiling or a floor, there would have to be a lot of force. That ball would have to be very strong. It would have to be moving very fast. There would have to be a lot of momentum for that ball to bust through the floor or bust through the much stronger ceiling. So when we talk about support and resistance and being able to identify it in the market, what we'll typically see around these levels, a strong candlestick that represents a lot of momentum because it takes that to actually break through one of these levels. So we don't want to see small candlesticks slowly going through the level like this. We want to see one, maybe two strong candles busting straight through the level and then continuing on slowly. That's what we want to see, because what this right here tells us was that that was indeed a strong level in the market. It did take a lot of momentum to bust through that, and we can rely on that information to trade it in the future. So to summarize all of these concepts, we've got key support and resistance, or S&R, identifiers. All right, let's move this on over here. So the first key identifier that we talked about was bouncing. So you want to see that price is bouncing from a level, whether it be as support or as resistance. Either way, you need to see reactions. So bouncing / reactions from that level. The second key identifier for support and resistance is that you want to see that that support or that resistance becomes resistance or support. So you need to see that not only will a level act as support, not only will it act as resistance, it will act as both support and resistance. That tells you that that is a reliable S&R level. It's an important key barrier in the market. And the third thing that's a telltale sign for a significant support and resistance level is seeing strong price action, strong candlesticks, a lot of momentum required to break through the level. So momentum is the third key. Now, there are many other techniques that can be used to help identify significant support and resistance levels in the financial market. However, they are advanced and outside the scope of these lessons. They will be covered at a later time in the education platform. But for the focus of this video, the key identifiers are reactions and bouncing, support and resistance, and momentum. So now that we've got this conceptual basis and understanding, and we've taken notes on what we're going to be looking for, we can switch back over to the markets and identify how this really works. All right, so here we are on the Euro Pound 2-hour time frame, and our goal, our objective, is to learn how to identify support and resistance levels in the financial markets so that we can learn how to trade them and ultimately make money, put money in our pockets. So let's start at the top where we have our simplest example of a support and resistance level. Here we have a rejection. Here we have a rejection. Here we've got rejections, 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 and rejections. So let's place our support and resistance line, our horizontal support and resistance line, right up here. See here, I've got it labeled major support and resistance, major S&R. And we've seen how many rejections here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, roughly 8 rejections. That's a lot of rejections, guys. That's a strong signal. So here with our key support and resistance identifiers, we can mark off number 1. We see plenty of bouncing, plenty of reactions from this level. Now, do we see that this level acts as both support and resistance? No. We don't see that. We actually do not see that. In the examples that we have here, in this market in front of us, we're only able to see that it is acting as what? Resistance. We don't actually see any instances of this acting as support because price held here indefinitely. Now, we may see at a later time that price breaks through this level and that this level then turns to support. But because we don't see that here, we can't use that to solidify and ensure ourselves that we do indeed have a significant support and resistance zone. So we're not able to identify number 2. What about number 3? Again, because we don't see price actually break through this at any point, we can't actually verify that it takes a lot of momentum to break through this level. We can assume so because it's been holding price so well, but again, we can't actually verify it. So even though this may appear to be a very strong level in the market, because you can't actually ensure yourself that it is a significant support and resistance because you don't have all of these identifiers marked off, you may want to hold back from trading it when price gets back up here because you don't know how it will react. You could very easily see price go right through this, and if you look to take a sell from here, you might lose. So let's take a look at another example here. Here I'm noticing that we had some peaks in the market right here, and then again over here. So let's see if we put a horizontal support and resistance line here, what happens. Okay, so we see some more information here. We reject again, 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 again. So same situation as above. There are a lot of rejections holding as resistance up here, which is of course nice to see. Let's just pull this all together and make it nice and clean here. And then let's note that we again have clearly resistance here. Now, again, we can mark off number 1 on our list because we're clearly bouncing, we're clearly reacting from this level. Now, the question is, can we mark off number 2? Does it also act as support when we breach? So here is our breach. Price breached right here. And if you notice, when price came back to this level, what happened? It found support each time. Not only that, not only did it find support each time, also over here, when we breached again, right here, it turned around and acted as resistance. So let's clone this. Let's bring this over here. Clone this again, bring it over here, and we have support. So for this specific support and resistance level right here, we are indeed able to mark off the second criteria. It does act as support and resistance. So did it take a lot of momentum to break through the level? If you zoom in over here and you take a look at this, you'll see that this candlestick right here, this candlestick was actually a pretty decently sized candlestick if you compare it to the other candlesticks around it. So let's zoom real in here. Let's zoom on in. Do you see the size of this candlestick compared to, say, this candlestick, or the candlestick next to it, or this candlestick, or this candlestick, or any of these candlesticks right off in here even? Okay, this was relatively a large candlestick. What that tells us was that it took a strong candle, a lot of momentum, to break through this resistance up here. Okay, so we can indeed mark this off of our list. So let's zoom back out here. Zoom back out here. So boom, marked off, and then number 3, momentum, we can mark off as well.
So